How?
What's
up?
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast, the Strathmore Vibes podcast.
Yeah.
And of course, this is our first one. What a pleasure it is
Thank
to
you for
host
having
you all
us.
here.
Yeah.
We've been wanting to do this for so long. And this is it. This is that opportunity where we get to have strategies and conversations, really, and unpack what it is like to be in this community.
Yeah.
What are the fun moments? What are the struggling moments? Because life is not just about books. But this particular episode then focuses on the aspect of academia and how students normally struggle when it comes to the aspect of finalizing their thesis, because the journey can be beautiful for the 4 years or so, but then there comes a stumbling block, or rather a hurdle, when we get to 4th year and you're presented with that project.
Man.
And you begin to wonder, okay,
Isn't he guy?
so how do I go about this? How do I go about this? So today's topic for our podcast, episode 1, will be on surviving your supervisor.
Oh my
Ding,
God.
Yeah, but before we delve into that, I will allow my beautiful and handsome
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was gonna be beautiful for a second. Then
to
I'm Jamaica.
just introduce themselves, and then we can delve into the crux of the matter.
Yes, yeah. So Samani, ladies first. Ladies first.
Oh, ladies first, yeah,
Ladies first.
yeah.
Go on.
Okay, hi, my name is Jemmy, alumna, School of Humanities.
Mepitia tu sahi na wewe ni alumnus. Sema vizuri.
Alumnus,
Hakuna.
School of
Vile
Humanities.
Kiingereza uliingia just.
School of Humanities, class of 2022.
Hi, I'm Paula, a Strathmore student in School of Computing.
Hello everyone. My name is Michael Kimathi. I'm an alumnus of Strathmore Law School.
Frankline, Mochengo, School of Computing and Engineering Sciences, school president.
Ambia watu wako hivyo. Ambia watu wako. You're there part-time.
First time.
Oh, basi.
Fantastic. And I'm your host, Martha Ogonjo, and I'll be very happy to take us through unpacking this conversation of surviving our supervisors. So let's get into it. Michael.
Ai. Kuniambia mimi ni wa kwanza. Sawa, sorry. Go.
Michael,
Yes, ask
I
me.
just want us to touch a bit on the aspect of that moment you get to final year and you're in that semester where you have to deal with the thesis. So how do you go about choosing your topic?
Hey, things are many. First of all, let me just start with law school. It's different. In law school, it's in 3rd year. That's when you start your dissertation. You know, project, you know, dissertation. You know, as you're not the common wananchi. Thank you.
Yeah, there goes the clock.
Tunaanza mapema. Anyway, so ours is in 3rd year essentially, and what happens is in 3rd year you have a unit called Advanced Legal Research and Writing, where you have to write a concept paper. That's where you actually have to start with your dissertation, because essentially you're supposed to have a topic in 3rd year, and then now in 4th year you read the dissertation, right? Now mimi niliramba vibaya. What happens is sisemi jina yake, but our lecturer, what he did was, firstly, you know, you have a cut before you do the main exam, right? So the cut was 20 marks, and you have to write the first first chapter of your dissertation, introduction, which is now going to cater for 40 marks of your entire grade. Now for you to pass, you need to get above 20 in that particular concept paper. That's what it's called. Sasa mimi alinifanya vibaya. I came up with a topic. It was very good, Martha. Ngongoza yangu longa fit sana. It was about defending women, and I thought ingeingiza box.
What to the lady?
Ghafla binvu naona tu results zimekuja hivi, and I think I have 15 out of 40. And I'm like, my brother,
You're below average.
what happened? Imagine, am I not good enough to have a project? Am I not good So now the time between the final exam and the cut is like 3 weeks, which means when you fail, you have to come up with a new topic in 3 weeks, and then you have to present it to him, and you have to pass it so that you can do it in 4th year. Bro, we are going to talk about this later.
Wow.
God is amazing, because I was able to come up with a topic that would satisfy his needs at the time, because he wanted something that was new, doesn't touch on everything on the law and all those things. So it was a new topic. It was about, okay, you guys don't know, it's called ouster clauses, but yeah,
And lawyers will always do this thing. They'll make us feel like
We
don't know, you know?
sasa unajua sorry, ni unajua
I love that.
kama ujusu niache nikwambie.
Michael, you mentioned something interesting that I'd like you to unpack a bit. You spoke about choosing a topic that satisfies the needs of your supervisor. Why his needs and not yours?
Because essentially in law school, the dissertation in itself has to address a part of the law that is one of the following. It's either new, the law is not clear of, or is ambiguous about. So for example, at the time my topic was on harassment. So now essentially the idea was for you to be in a workspace, for you to report a case of harassment, you are the one who has to report it, which means you have to know you have been harassed for you to report it. Now me, I was gonna say, excuse me, what if this case is where you've heard that a woman has been harassed, like we say this harassment, but we don't know it's harassment, that woman doesn't know it's harassment. So I was gonna say, let's talk about that. Apparently it was not quote unquote good enough for the lecturer at the time, and me, I thought it was going to save the world, but now look at me. Nilikapata, I was below average apparently. So
With your height, sorry man.
Acha bana.
Okay, so moving from Michael's below average. Let's see, Jemmy. What was your first interaction with your supervisor like?
I think mine is, how do I even describe it? Because I had 2 supervisors. I started with one, but then he moved abroad. So once we started, he laid down the foundation, everything, were like 6 of us, but then he left us hanging. So we had to get another supervisor to start the project again. And then luckily she was one of my best lecturers the entire year.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it wasn't a bad transition, but then the fact that now you have a different lecturer whose ideas and stuff is different from what he started with was my main challenge. But then in terms of navigating how I interacted with her, or even just her being my supervisor, it was amazing. Mostly it was online. I think I had 2 or 3 physical sessions with her, and she was up to date everything. And then she was the type of lecturer who would keep you accountable. You tell her you meet at 3, she's calling you at 3. Where are you right now? We need to do this work with you. So yeah, so I really got a nice supervisor.
I'm so jealous.
And I really want to mention her name. Her name is Dr. Kanyaru, and she guided all of us from step 1 to step 2, even questionnaires. She was even answering the questionnaires and telling you, Jemmy, this, no, try this. And then she was even giving you the resources, the books you should read, check Harvard, check this, what are they doing. Yeah, for me it was amazing.
I'm so jealous. What do you mean?
Yeah, coming from Michael's vlog.
Hey, bana.
I just wanted to touch on one aspect that you also spoke about, and that's the aspect of when your first supervisor had to travel abroad and you felt that you were left hanging, in your words. How was that transition moment? Without even having to preempt, was there support for you as you even moved on and tried to get another supervisor? How was that season like, the hanging season?
Actually, it didn't last that long. It was less than a week. As in, immediately we just got a switch. So for me, I didn't feel the pinch, but then the pinch came in because we had to check our work again from scratch. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
of course,
amazing.
you feel like you have to go
You
back.
have to start again, check if, because you know how she's very detailed. So from the first page to the last page you did, because I think we had done chapter 1, chapter 2, and then chapter 3 is when now you lay the foundation of your research work. So from there is when he left. Then now she started chapter 4, which is your questionnaires, your research work, data collection, and all that. So yeah, it was an amazing journey for me, honestly.
That's quite some
You're not
positive
happy.
vibes.
I'm sorry.
I
I know Dr. Kanyaru. What do you mean? Why doesn't she give an example to other lecturers in this university?
yeah.
So moving on to
Michael was below average.
Acha kuinsist. Nimejielewa. Umepona tu graduate.
So just going back to the aspect of the topic that Michael had touched on, Paula, I'm just curious to know, how was it like getting your supervisor to agree with the topic that you thought was the topic, the best?
Like Michael, I also got not good enough as well. And to me, it was, my topic was priceless in my eyes. And you think you've made it, you've sat down, you've thought, you've come up with the ideas, you've run through everything that can be and cannot. And then I'm like, you know what? It cannot. And I'm like, what? So it got to a point, like he said, and you need to do it to fit your supervisor's needs. And that was a challenge for me, because I thought this project was for me, to make myself better, to show you what I can do, what I have learned as a student. Then you end up having to shift your perspective into fitting the supervisor's shoes so that you can pass. Now it becomes more of, I'm not doing this for purpose of self-actualization. Now I just need to pass. And I guess, and that's where the challenge came in for me. What am I benefiting? I need the degree, yes. I need to pass, yes. But is it at my satisfaction?
What a paradox, I would say, because ideally, much as we want to incline to what our supervisor would want, I believe that the student also needs to enjoy what they're doing. So I hope that as we continue to unpack this, you'll demonstrate a sense of balance. I want to touch on an aspect that you mentioned about feeling a bit deflated after believing that you had the best topic. So in the spirit of just helping others navigate this season, this period of being a student, how do you move from that point of demotivation to pick yourself up again and try and think of something new, try and find some enthusiasm so that you're able to move through this phase?
There's tears. I'm really not going to lie. And in line with the mental awareness, you sit down for... You set time aside just to cry a little bit or even a lot. Everyone can define what crying is to them, whether it's the aspect of shedding the tears literally or just sitting down to beat yourself up. Then from there, it's up to you to bounce back. When you're done having the self-pity party, you just have to decide, I need to get this done. So you have to take a different approach because there's a reason why the first one didn't work.
But you have a choice.
Yes, you have a choice, but you need to make the best choice in your interest. At that point,
What is the choice?
it's the degree. Are we not?
That's the thing. So you have no choice.
Do you guys have credits
Let me
when
take
you
back
open
my
your...
conversation here. Frank, talking about getting this done, tell us, what has been your best mode of communication? I mean, when I was doing my thesis, I would hear my fellow students talking about how they're having coffee dates with their supervisors, and I'm thinking, what is that? How? So just let me, tell us, what worked for you?
For me, what is working for me would be, one, I'm very close with my lecturer. Unlike Paula and Mike, for us, he came with a whole list of topics, told us, guys, you have no space to think through whatever you want to do. You are picking from this.
That's nice though.
That is what it is.
That's a bit enabling.
Yeah.
So just imagine a person like me, I was thinking to do something to do with maybe customers or something of the sort. Then he gave me something to do with food waste management. I have to deal with food waste.
I don't think that's nice at all. What do you mean? Like, it simplifies the work, but also it's not your project.
It's a new topic to you. You don't know anything.
And positive energy you would inject.
I will get there. I will get there. Give me time.
And I think that covers the point for fitting your supervisor's needs. At least he gave you his
He gave you
needs.
his
You
needs.
just pick what he wants. And you should thank God for that, Frank.
All right, I think it's a good thing.
Where's the originality there?
It's right now I'm thinking
Right
it's a
now.
good thing.
Back then it wasn't.
No, it wasn't a good thing.
So drawing you back to the question, what was that mode of communication that was easiest?
Now, he had proposed we do virtual meetings mostly, but for me it never worked. So I had to pop up in his office. Then at some point I had to lure him for lunch. I don't know if that's
The coffee date? The coffee date?
Coffee
no, the
dates.
coffee dates we're talking about here. Then he offered free lunch. And I think it's usually part of the mentoring system at Strathmore. You could meet with your lecturers for lunch. Then we had the first lunch. Then during the lunch, we were just discussing about the topic. I think that was something crazy for me. So he gave me another supervisor. So he's the main supervisor, but gave me another supervisor who was a bit younger to help us with these things. But every other Friday, before I leave for home, I used to see him in his office.
Friday.
Every Friday before I leave for home.
And I believe that was a bit useful for you.
It was very useful.
Yeah, that connection, being able to just have interpersonal communication and being able to sound your thoughts. Yeah, I believe it sort of helped you navigate. Amazing. So, Michael, just wondering, we all go through those unexpected moments in life, of course, but here very much focused on the thesis, dissertation, phase of academia. What are those moments you've had, unexpected moments? How did you go about it?
Like essentially, when I was starting third year. So when you're in third year, the previous class usually tells you about how dissertations are hectic, right? But oftentimes it's about the actual writing of the process. But for me, something I did not expect, but now I think most law school students can attest, is that by the time you meet your supervisor for the first time, the amount of period that is taken. Because now again, here's the timeline. 3.2 is done. So we are going for a long holiday where you do your work-based learning and then you have to come back for fourth year. Fourth year, and you're supposed to be done with your dissertation by December. I am expecting that in my Peter unit, so I have a topic. I'm meeting my supervisor starting August latest because you're back in July. Let me tell you, I met my supervisor on November 24th, 20 whatever year it was. And when is the dissertation due? December of that year. So now all that time you're wondering, they expect me to give you an A grade. Like, this thing is supposed to boost your marks, essentially. I mean, come on. I hope you guys know that. The project dissertation is supposed to boost your mark for the final exam. So now I've done all that and I have to figure out how to do it in a matter of what? By December 20th, which that's when the school closes. So in a matter of 3 weeks, give or take, to do all that. I don't know how I did it. I don't know if I did it even well. But what I did was I did submit something. I think my first 3 chapters of the dissertation, because chapter 4 and 5 is a matter of summarizing and then reporting it in conclusion. That's pretty much it. But taking the time, Martha, I live in Kahawa Sukari. And Strathmore iko wapi? Iko Madaraka. I have to come from class at 5 p.m., be at home and do this dissertation thing all night, just so that I can have something that at least I can say, it's good in my eyes. And that was the most unexpected thing ever, because I thought in my mind, if you start in August, you'll be done in December. So unapatiwa supervisor November 24th, kitu tunafunga shule for Christmas. Hata Christmas huwezi kuenjoy juu hata hujui kufanya kazi nzuri. And then January you have to be back. It was pretty heck. That's just the highlight that comes to mind first for me.
That's quite interesting. I hear you talking about 3 weeks. I see a lot of pressure. I see a pressure-filled person. Yeah, just waiting to explode. And I'm just wondering, what are some of those affirmations you kept on giving yourself to keep yourself on track?
The thing that I know about myself is, at the end of the day, despite everything that I go through in life, I know that I'll get the job done. I don't know, I think started from childhood, where essentially like when you have things like you have to do out of school, outside school, like for example, if you in high school I was part of all these clubs and other activities, but I still had to make sure that I get the grade for mzazi, at least afurahie that
for mzazi again. Michael, when do you do something for you?
You see, for me it was the outside things outside class. Junajua, essentially class, everyone has to go to class. What you do outside class is something that you do for yourself. So now, for example, for me, let's say something like football. I did football. Football was for me. But not for my parents to see value in my football. They have to see that the value that they're putting in my education is returned.
ROI.
Exactly.
Return on investment.
Exactly. So now, everything that I do outside class has to be meet up with what I do in class. So now, all my life, I've learned that. Because even at the time, it wasn't just class. I wasn't just doing class. I mean, Frank, how long have we known each other? And I've done so many things outside class, and I've met Frank outside of class through all these things that we've done. So I had to, at least in my mind, I have to tell myself that, you know what, man, you have no choice. You've done this before. You actually have to do it again. It's a matter of, I always tell people this, in life, having, quote unquote, let me use this word, self-esteem, that belief in yourself helps you grow and do so much. I believe if every one of us had that belief in themselves, there's nothing that we can not overcome, in my opinion. So now at that time, the pressure you're talking about was there, but it was easily overcoming as far as I know that, bro, if you sit down on this, it can be done and I will do it, simply put.
And I like the point that you're bringing about of resilience and perseverance. So Jemmy, give us a few tips. How do you remain resilient? How do you stay the course?
I think for everybody, we were grouped into 6 or 7 teams per supervisor, and we used to have like small discussions just to keep each other in check. Like, have we all done chapter 1? Let's close it. Are we all doing chapter 2? Is there something that we need to add? You keep checking somebody else's work. Is there grammar? Is there something? Do you need this book to read? I think we had one document that we used to share around just to get a bit of inspiration. Because even my supervisor gave us a document to refer to in terms of, this is how it's supposed to look like. In case you're stuck, you have this point of reference. So we had a group of people who we were with the entire time that we kept each other in check. But then also I had somebody else who's outside campus who has passed through the same shoes I have, and they kept on checking, and they're also in the space of the research that I was doing, and they kept on telling me, this is what you're supposed to be doing. We're looking forward to the next progress. So somebody outside who was keeping me accountable in what I was doing. So for me, I could be...
Jemmy was working overtime.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I might be the only one who had a smooth sailing through my 4th year. But I didn't feel any challenge per se. And my tip to students would be just have a support system. It could just be your own friend, your own students that you're grouped up with, your supervisor, just keep each other in check. Like if it's chapter 1, let's do it together. Is there something that you need me to check? Let's push it together.
I'm a bit confused. What do you mean we do it together? Like, is it the same topic?
No, it's not the same
different
topic.
topics. So
You see,
mnaambiana,
if you're doing something to do with health, I'm doing something to do with economics, you're doing food waste system. All of us. So we say chapter 1, let's give ourselves like 1 week. We all type up everything that we need to do for chapter 1.
Yeah.
And then we get to see together, how is it looking like for you? Are you done with your chapter 1? Are we supposed to do like 20 pages, 1 page? Like you keep each other accountable, that in every step you're all going together and you finish. And funny thing is, all of us graduated from that group.
Amazing.
All of us. So,
as I listen to Jemmy, I really see the importance of having a positive mindset. A positive mindset is everything. And I just want you, Paula and Frank, to talk to us a bit about what is that one piece of advice that maybe your supervisor shared with you that you feel really was the boost or the turning point for you?
I didn't get it from my supervisor.
Okay.
But I'm a firm believer of affirmations and being positive. Like she said, just have a positive mindset. And I do this every day in the morning as I'm getting ready. Me and my mirror. Just look at myself and tell myself, you can do it. I can do it. You can do it. I can do it. And just making sure, because sometimes people forget it's what you tell yourself. It doesn't really matter what people will tell you, what people view of you. But the moment you keep repeating things to yourself, they become more true to you. So when you decide that you can do it, it becomes so much easier because of believing that you can't let yourself down. And that's what keeps me going.
So believing that she can't let herself down. Frank, what about you?
So all along I used to meet my supervisor physically. He goes through the document and the only motivating factor I had is seeing him going through a page and there's no red mark. That was a motivating factor. Because otherwise the first thing is, does it still look pathetic like it was? That was his welcoming statement to his office. And I'm like, today
but also maybe a strategy to challenge you.
That's the thing. So that used to motivate
tough
me.
Love. That used to the tough love.
You want to tell me that's love? But I think throughout, anytime I would walk into his office, then he gets to a place, he even does it on my behalf. He decides to, go through the page, then decides to correct everything. He tells me, bring it, I'll type it and show you what I actually want to do. He does it. If it's my code, he calls me and tells me, Frank, I think you'd have implemented it different. If you'd have started with this part, not this part. And that used to help me a lot. Him doing it.
The code as well?
Yeah, the code. I would get there and he tells me, Frank,
talk.
let's try this.
Hey!
I think it's that good friendship.
But as I hear you all, the positive, the negative, the fun, the tears, I see that Strathmore has offered you a wealth of opportunities. What would you say are some of those resources that you found particularly helpful during that season?
Having that group of people. Strathmore is one that we don't appreciate enough, is that we actually do have other students who are going through the same struggles. Yeah. So at that time when I'm going through my struggles, we had other lecturers who we can go through to for help. That's the best thing that I had at the time, because if this guy was not helping me, and I'd have that sort of guidance about how a dissertation looks like, because come on, it's our first time doing a project. It's not like we've ever done it before. So at least that, and also the fact that the library has these resources.
I was actually waiting
for has all these resources for how a dissertation should look like and all those things. So that's the one thing that at that particular time I'm very grateful I had. So yeah.
Amazing. Jemmy?
I think for me, it's still on Michael's point, the surrounding, the group of people who are there for you. For me, that's the only resource that I can actually say is the best for me, and it worked. But also the fact that I could run to other lecturers, because in third year is what you do research methods 1 and 2, then fourth year is when now you implement it. So I could run back to my lecturer who taught me research methods 1 and 2, just to tell me, by the way, your project is moving like this. So, I got every single opportunity from Strathmore for me.
Yeah.
To the people of the tough love.
So when you reflect back on your journey, are there particular moments you look back and feel like you have grown as a result of this process that has been haunting you? Would you say that you've grown? What are those growth points that come to mind?
I think for me, it's learning that it's okay. Rejection is okay. You can do something. You can do something to the best of your capabilities, But in someone's eyes, it is nothing. It is absolutely nothing. And being taken back, come back tomorrow with something concrete, something better, and you have to go back, think of something better. It's not even within 24 hours. You're working with 12 hours, and you need to be okay. So that growth, and I think that essentially prepares us for what is out there. Because right now, yes, there's the space to be a student, to fail here and there, and, come back, move on. But maybe out there, it won't be the same. Once it gets bad, it's bad. It's up to you to have learned how to be rigid, how to be vigorous with life, and just keep going. That's where my growth really came from.
You could hear yourself, I
think
Frank.
For me, ideally, I don't want to call them rejections, but with all this tough love, like you said, yeah. I mean, it has taught me to be perseverance a bit. Then another thing I've loved about it is I'm more tactical now. By the time you get me into a space, I just need to think through, get technical, then I'm on. Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
Cool. I just want to touch on what he said. Yeah. The aspect of perseverance, the aspect of being tactical, the aspect of learning, choosing to learn through the process. And I see at the end of the day, as you said it, you have to meet the supervisor's needs. Yeah. There's that importance of creating a good rapport. I mean, your grade is at stake, eh? Yeah. And Strathmore really is legit and authentic. We don't say that when a lecturer hates you, you'll get a bad grade. Yeah. There's nothing like that. Yeah. But talk to us a bit about that aspect of creating a good rapport, creating that relationship that would be mutually beneficial for both you and the lecturer.
Yeah. Okay. I think I made fun of it before, but it's true. Actually, having a meal together is very important. And as far as just having a cup of coffee together helps you build that first step of initiating conversation between you and the supervisor. But now, in addition to that, I think something else that I did not appreciate enough was the fact that this guy, my supervisor at the time, is not a Strathmore University lecturer. He works outside Strathmore, but he was contracted to now come and do dissertations. This guy works in PwC. At the time, he offered me an opportunity to even just go and learn while I'm doing my dissertation with him. Like, there was a time we just had a whole conversation about how as a lawyer, I can now involve myself in that kind of sector. I told him that I'm interested in tax law and corporate law, and he gave me a through pass for it. And as far as, like, right now, I know that once I'm done with my KSL, I can now approach him simply because we have that quote-unquote history together with my dissertation, that hassle that we both had. And he's the one who gave me my marks, and I'm grateful for what I got, which was fantastic. Right? You'll be surprised. Yeah, mbaya. Mbaya. But like, in as far as having that quote-unquote history together helps you to have a path in case you do meet somewhere in the future. Because as I said, as of now, I can call him, I have his number, I can text him and ask him for guidance on my KSL as I do KSL right now, and hopefully career paths going forward. So I did appreciate at the time, but in hindsight, I'm very grateful for my supervisor. And it all just started with, again, just having a meal with him. Hapa collaborator.
Lucky. Saying the way to the heart is the meal.
At any man's stomach. Take notes, Martha.
Yes, Martha, buy them food. Just call the students.
So just lightening things up a bit. What's the funniest or most memorable moment you've had with your supervisor? Jemmy, would you have any?
My entire journey was smooth, to be honest. But I feel like my highlight moment was the fact that she opened it up for all of us, in the sense that I had her WhatsApp number. Like, I could text her in the middle of the night and she's responding. I feel like
in the middle of the night.
Like,
Jemmy.
It was during COVID times, around 2021, 2022 hapo. So we were online but hybrid at the same time. So she was just available to us. I'm sure my entire journey was good. I feel like the rest should give something.
Paula?
Memorable moment was just being called off. Like, when you look back at it, I grew so much. I'm not like, now there's nothing no one can tell me that felt worse than that moment, because it felt like my life shattered. Like, that moment. What do you mean? No. Yes, Paula. No. Like, no explanation. And the fact that he said, I don't need to explain myself. If something does not attract me, it's not good in my eyes, I cannot sign it off. And I just stood there looking at him. Okay, tears. You can't say anything. Tears.
Premium tears.
So, and looking back right now, I'm just like, I can laugh about it now because I had to go out of my way to think about new things. Then I had to expand my mind to new ideas, because then you start thinking about how I can be better. What then does he want? You know, those broadening your perspective on things.
That right there is what I call growth, because you look at the benefit of hindsight.
Yeah.
Frank, what are your memorable moments?
Ooh. I think the final presentation, I actually expected to score the lowest grades, but out of it I had a very clean 82, and that was... Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I might not look as intelligent as that grade, but yes, that's what I scored.
So, Michael,
Yeah.
presenting your final defense can be nerve-wracking.
Bye.
Yeah? So what are some of those tips that you can share for people to navigate that season in a more peaceful, calm, collected way?
Okay, firstly, I think the one thing I can say is that I don't know about other faculties, but for us, our defense doesn't take that long. Our defense was maximum. I think my entire session was 15 minutes. Everything was 15 minutes. I presented in 10 minutes and 5 minutes for questions. And they only asked me 2 questions, right? So I think, is that the same for you guys, your faculties?
Similar.
You didn't have something they would ask you questions.
Mine was fantastic because mine again was during the COVID, during the hybrid time.
yeah.
So mine was online, which means I had to dress up in a suit in my bedroom. But essentially, that's the one thing that I can tell people. So I don't know about you guys, but essentially, a defense should not take more than 15 minutes. And once you have that knowledge in your mind, you are able to time yourself, because at the end of the day, those 15 minutes are yours, right? And it's not for the supervisor; it's yours. Which means, what I would tell anyone is, take your time to understand your chapter 1 of your project, because chapter 1 is essentially what every lecturer wants, every supervisor wants, because they don't have time to go through 2, 3, 4, and 5 in 15 minutes. So master your chapter 1. Chapter 1 should be the one where you get all your grades, right? And once you have that chapter 1 down, I promise you, those 10 minutes, those 15 minutes will fly. Yeah. And more importantly, you realize that you're going to get the most marks, because the dissertation, I don't know, again, for other faculties, that was like 10% of the grade dissertation. So I got my full 10%. That one I'm sure of, right? And something else that I think I wished I knew at the time was also understand that your supervisor knows your project, right? Which means they're not looking for you to regurgitate what exactly you've written down. What they want to know is your understanding of the project. So take your own time to understand your project. When I say master, I'm not saying that master what chapter 1 says from introduction to background to statement of objectives, all the things. Just understand what it is that you're trying to achieve from your project.
Problem and the challenge.
Exactly. Once you solve that, I promise you, your full proposal will be fantastic, and you'll be so calm about it. Because at the time, I know I was tense, but then I look back at it and I'm like, actually no. All I did was speak of chapter 1 and I was done. Yeah. So that's what would be my advice to anyone listening, of course.
I think that's a superb thing. I also love it. There's a time I presented and the leg told us, from the introduction, I just understood everything.
Exactly.
I think once you've mastered that, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're very good.
And really, as I hear you speak, I hear the aspect of self-awareness, being aware of what it is you're presenting as well. And Jemmy, I just want you to speak to the aspect of if you were to go back to your first year, what is that piece of advice about handling the dissertation journey? What would that advice look like?
Well, for me, my research paper came from a unit that I had, which was on human security. And then around the same time it was COVID time. So it was effects of the pandemic on human security. Now that's wide, because human security is environment, people, food, economic, everything. So from that, I got to pick a topic from my unit I learned to figure out what I should do research on. So my advice would be, pay attention in class. Sometimes the topic or the light bulb moment might come from a unit that you learned. Or even sometimes it could be a conversation with someone. And they're like, but they do a research on something. Because I met somebody who said that they used to have a friend who used to have a friend who were together, but he used to tag along, but he was deaf. So she used to wonder, how can I talk to him? So through computer, she got to develop a device from machine learning so that they're able to talk to him. So sometimes your research comes from what you've learned, who you engage with.
Yeah.
So pay attention. That would be my advice to them.
And just
as we talk about paying attention and just looking back, we are really drawing towards the close of this conversation, and I just want Paula and Frank to talk about the aspect of what do you think the future or other potential students, or even those behind you, first year, second year, what is that one thing you can tell them in terms of preparing themselves for the season as they embark on their own dissertation journeys? What should they have in mind?
I'd first tell them to make sure they know themselves, who you are as a person, because it will highly determine what you choose, your chain of thought, what you're able to create, the level through which your mind can expand. I'll use my experience. I'd say I was very delicate, and when my supervisor broke me and broke that shell, right now I'd be able to do and get to a certain level that maybe before I couldn't. And to be open to growth, because first year, second year, you don't really know. You're here for vibes. Maybe you're not even sure this is the course you want to do, but it starts getting real when you're told to produce material, giving back, because ideally that's the sense of the project, to actually give back to the school lecturers, let me say that, because all other times you're consuming. You've just been a consumer of knowledge, put it down in exams, get your grade. But this time you have to convince yourself you're solving a problem. You have to then show people, this is the problem, this is how I can solve it. So be ready to be mind blown, to open yourself up to opportunities, growth.
I think I'll upvote the same thing. But again, for those who are yet to join Strath, for those ones who are in second year, first year, be ready for it. It's no joke. I won't lie to them. But and then,
is it doable?
They'll do it and they're going to graduate. That's the truth. But during that moment, just as she said, just remember this. The moment you actually step into university, the first thing is, it's few people that usually make it to university. And when you have these people, you are the game changers in the world. You are meant to provide real world solutions to real world problems. So the moment you've done your first year and second year, now just know you've upgraded to a new level. We are expecting solutions out of it. It's no longer problems here and there. So you have to look for a way to ensure you are in that clique. Otherwise, you have no choice. Yeah.
Amazing. I sense a lot of hope there.
Oh, yeah.
And as I want us to close in a bit of a reflective mode, looking back, how do you think your experience at Strathmore has equipped you for your future career?
Yeah, that's an easy question for me. Wow. I mean, here's the thing. For me, that's easy for me because of the following. Number one, career opportunities that we gain just from associating ourselves with Strathmore. It's amazing, right? I appreciate that so much. But then also, I feel as if people usually focus on the academics so much that you don't appreciate everything you do outside the classroom, right? Like Jemmy, me and you started from 3 years back and started off in one particular club, right? Is it even? I think it's 4 years in one club, right? And then you look back on it, you see how much we've grown in as far as not only ourselves as people, but other things that we've been able to do, like leadership, the exposure that we've had to do, and then interact with other people from other universities. Those are things that you only get once you integrate yourself and immerse yourself in other aspects of the Strathmore University culture other than academics. That's what I say has brought. I'm so thankful for right now. My LinkedIn looks beautiful just because of this university. I'm not gonna lie. I've done other things in my life, but this university has made my LinkedIn look as if, competent human being, despite being below average in your paper. So yeah, that's it for me personally.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah. What about you, Jenny?
I think just being in Strathmore is already an opportunity to start with. Even just as you move from first year to fourth year, the lecturers are there for you 24/7. You get your grades on time, and like other people who have to, struggle a little bit to get their grades, or even just to get them on time, or even just to graduate on time, is already an opportunity for us to be in Strathmore, even just to be students in the first place, and even just the environment by itself. That's all I can say for now.
With a wide smile.
For that matter. Paula?
Strathmore is a great place. It has vast opportunities. So I'd say have goals on what you want to achieve as a person, career-wise, academic-wise, and be ready to put yourself out there. Ideally, that's how I met Frank. I just
Put yourself out there.
put myself out there. Yeah,
Frank.
it's true.
Tell us.
It's true. And
I think when there are two words when they crisscross my mind, Strathmore gets into place. One, world class. Two, brand. When you talk of brand and world class, I'll simply give it a mnemonic: Strathmore University. Just that.
What a wonderful way to wrap up this conversation. And I believe it has been very enriching. I take it that the audience will benefit from all that we've shared. To the supervisors, I think also there is something there for us to just be able to pick and see areas of improvement, but also areas to just pat ourselves in the back and know that it's worthwhile. And to our audience, this has been our first podcast show.
Thank you for being us.
And what a pleasure, I must say. What a pleasure it has
Appreciate
been. And what would I say? Onwards and upwards, on to the next.
Sure.
Keep it vibes and
See you
inshallah.
next time.
next podcast.
See you guys.
Bye bye.